election going on. And I'll tell you something else. This state is really, really, really important. There's only, in this crazy system that we have, 7 states that are ultimately going to matter. And you all are one of them. But let's get real about something. I was looking at some statistics the other day. It said that in terms of black voter participation, Arizona is the 2nd worst state in the country. Well, what's that all about? Wisconsin's worse. I'm going to Wisconsin on Tuesday. That means that we got to get our people out. The stakes could not be higher. We've got an extremely competent African-American woman running for President of the United States for the first time. She is running against a guy who wasn't that good in 2016, deteriorated in 2020, and is worse now in 2024. Remember everybody was talking about cognitive abilities and people getting old? That's Donald Trump now. That's Donald Trump. Everybody, the media was focused on Joe Biden. Where's the media focus on Donald Trump now? That dude has not put 2 sentences together in the last 2 years. He can't do a full paragraph, and that's way beyond his abilities. He's talking about Hannibal Lecter, electric boats and sharks, whining about crowd sizes, and as Barack said, instead of focusing on the issues that matter to Americans. And that's what Kamala is talking about. Whether it's health care, making us safe from gun violence, a whole variety of things that should be of concern to us. But here's another thing I want you to do. I want everybody to make sure that you all are voting. But I also want to make sure that you're talking to Pookie, Ray Ray, Peanut, Meatball, Aunt Alice, Uncle Joe, and making sure that they're voting as well. You can register over the course of the next couple of days, and people who register tend to vote. So it's not too late to get people out there and register. But you also got to make sure that people get out there and vote. We can't have Arizona where it is, where the African-American vote is as low as it is. Because the reality is, if we vote, we're going to win. Now, not to put too much pressure on you, but if we don't win, think about what the next 4 years are going to look like.
Yeah, think about that.
We have seen what Donald Trump did in the previous 4 years that he served. Now, I was head of the Justice Department during the Obama years. Donald Trump, with a 2nd term, will take the Justice Department, he will weaponize it, he'll use it against his enemies, and one thing he's not going to use the Justice Department for is to protect the interests of black people. It's not going to be about the protection of the right to vote. It's not going to be about making sure that the criminal justice system is more fair. It's not going to be about making sure that housing discrimination is kept down. It's not going to be about any of that stuff. It's all going to be, as usually is with him, about me. It's going to be about Donald Trump, the orange man. That's what he's going to be focused on.
Self-centered.
So, you all got to make it happen. But here's the other deal. You got to focus on Arizona as well. You got some crazy ass people here in Arizona.
Yes,
And
we do.
I mean, Carrie Lake still thinks that she won, what, 40 years ago?
That's right.
She doesn't understand that. And then there was a person, I heard, a Republican state legislator who said that with regard to reproductive rights, that the bill was passed in 1840
the former attorney,
something.
Obama's attorney.
They got it right in 1840 something with regard to women's right to make their own choices. 1840 something? Wait a minute, that's before we could vote. And I say we, I mean black folks and women. That's what they want to do. They want to take us back. When they say make America great again, I wonder, when did you think America was great?
Exactly.
Was it during the time of slavery? Was it when women couldn't vote? When it was the LGBT community did not have the rights that it now has?
Woo!
No, they want to take us back to a time that really never existed. You know, the 1950s, I guess, you know, or their vision of the 1950s. When it was picket fence houses, I don't know, see, are you all old enough to remember Leave It to Beaver? Some of you, right? I mean, June Cleaver, who was the mom, she used to vacuum the house in high heels and in pearls. That's the vision that Donald Trump has for making America, that's the America he wants to go back to. That's an America, if you remember in the 1950s, black folks could not vote in the South. It was before the Civil Rights Movement, but that's where he wants to go. Kamala Harris, by contrast, says, what does he say? We're not going back. We're not going back. And we won't have the ability not to go back unless you all are active in getting other people involved. And I know it's hot. I know the weather's terrible, but there's no excuses. There's no excuses. People died. People sacrificed. People committed their lives so that we would have the opportunity to vote in ways that they did not. There is a debt that we owe to people who came before us. There is an obligation to shape the present. And we have a duty to shape the future for those who are yet to come. So we a debt to the past, a focus on the present, and an obligation about the future. That's what this election is all about. We have always, you know, black folks have had to deal with oftentimes the worst of America. You know, the original sin, slavery. 100 years of segregation, continued unwarranted police violence, and a whole range of other things. They try to make it more difficult for us to vote, and we always come through. We always come through. We always find a way. And this cannot be the first generation that doesn't come through. Every generation of Americans, and especially black Americans, is called upon to defend democracy. And to try to make this nation better, try to make this nation live up to its founding ideals. Now it's our turn. Yes. Now it is our turn. Woo! So as I said, it's warm out there. It's hot. But that's okay. It's not going to be like John Lewis when he tried to walk across a bridge to get us the right to vote, got his head whipped by state troopers. You don't have to face that. You have to face 105 degrees, 107 degrees. You gotta vote early, you gotta vote late, vote by mail. There's a whole range of things that you can do. But you gotta make sure that you're doing it because we have the numbers to turn this state blue. And think about this. Think about how you felt in 2016, the day after the election, and how bad you felt. We don't want to feel that bad in 2024 and think, well, boy, if only I had, can't do that. Between now and November the 5th, we got to do all we possibly can to ensure this victory. Dr. King says the arc of the moral universe is long, and it bends towards justice. But here's the deal. It doesn't bend on its own. It only bends when people like us, when people like you, people like you, people like you, people like you, people like you put their hands on that arc and pull it towards justice. And so what each and every one of us has to ask ourselves is, what are we doing? What am I doing to pull that arc towards justice? And the way you do it this year is to get out there and vote like we never have before for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Also make sure that you're voting down ballot as well. There are 2 Supreme Court justices who have a retention election. They don't need to be on the Arizona Supreme Court. No, they don't. Get them off. Vote them off. They're trying to change the rules in Arizona, as Republicans always want to do, to say, well, even if you vote them off, we're going to change the rules so that they get lifetime appointments. Vote against that. And vote for Arizona state legislators who are going to make it easier to vote. They're going to have the ability to keep us safe from guns. They're going to care about the climate. So I want you to vote for Tim and Kamala and down ballot as well. Send Ruben Gallegos to the Senate. We have this power. It is time time for us to exercise this power. Let's not be the first generation that fails. Remember that debt that we owe to those who came before us. So I'm going to borrow something from the Obama campaign. 2008, magic. It was magic. Remember this? You fired up,